Hello, in this video we want to solve this question. Distinguish between the Hicks approach and the Slutsky approach relating to the decomposition of price effect into income effect and substitution effect. How to solve this? Suppose a consumer lives in a two commodity world. Suppose a consumer lives in a two commodity world. Two commodity world. Two commodity world means suppose there are two goods X and Y. Let Px and Py be the price per unit of X and Y respectively. Let M be the spendable money income. Let M be the spendable money income. The expenditure on two goods X into Px plus Y into Py. This X shows the quantity demanded for commodity X. This X shows quantity demanded for commodity X. Now, income is M in equilibrium. In equilibrium, income equals to expenditure. That is M equals to XPX plus YPY. This is equation number 1. This is known as the budget constraint of the consumer. This is known as the budget constraint of the consumer. The consumer wants to maximize utility. The consumer wants to maximize utility. What is the utility function? U equals to U of X comma Y. This is equation number 2. Maximize utility subject to the budget constraint. Budget constraint. Suppose the consumer wants to maximize utility subject to the budget constraint, and utility maximization exercise is done where the budget line is tangent to the IC. Suppose this is the AB is the budget line and IC is this one. This is the maximum utility is attained at point E. The maximum utility is attained at point E. Maximum utility is attained at point E where the budget line is tangent to the IC indifference curve. I am writing here. Indifference curve. Indifference curve is denoted by IC. Okay. Now we do the comparative static analysis. That means suppose price of X changes. Now Px, Py, M are called the parameter. These are exogenously determined. X and Y are determined within the model, where the utility is maximum. From this point we determine X star and Y star. What is X star, Y star? X star 1, Y star 1. What is X star, Y star? That is the maximum quantity demanded at this situation. X star and Y star are the quantity demanded at equilibrium. X star, Y star is the quantity demanded at equilibrium. Are quantity demanded at equilibrium. X and Y are endogenous variable. That is, we can determine X and Y within the model. Px, Py, M are exogenous variable. These are given to the model. We can determine this Px, Py and M within this model. Px, Py, M are changing from outside the model. Suppose Px falls keeping Py and M constant. The fall in Px will affect the quantity demanded for X. The fall in Px keeping Py and M constant will affect the quantity demanded of X. This is known as price effect. The change in quantity demanded for X due to change in Px keeping Py and M constant is known as price effect. Price effect is denoted by Pe. That is, when Px falls keeping Py and M constant, then how quantity demanded for X responds. That is the price effect. Price effect can be decomposed into two parts. Pe can be decomposed into two parts. One, substitution effect, denoted by AC, and other is income effect. Number two is income effect, IE. That is, PE equals to AC plus IE. P equals to AC plus IE. Now, when Px falls keeping Py and M constant, then the budget line rotates from AB. Then the budget line rotates from AB to AC. AB to AC. Why this happening? Let me explain this thing. Px falls keeping Py and M constant. Then M by Px M is constant, Px falls. Numerator is constant, denominator falls. Therefore, the ratio rises. This is the vertical intersect of the budget line. Hence, the vertical intersect rises. M by Py, sorry, this is the horizontal intercept. Horizontal intercept. M by Px is the horizontal intercept. That is the maximum amount of x that can be bought. Horizontal intercept. M by Py. M is constant, Py is constant. Therefore, the ratio is constant. Hence, the vertical intersect of the budget line remains unchanged. Vertical intercept remains unchanged and horizontal intercept rises. Horizontal intercept rises, vertical intercept remains unchanged. That means the budget line rotates from AB to AC. Now, what is the slope of the budget line? Slope of the budget line is the Px by Py. Absolute slope of the budget line is Px by Py. Absolute slope of the budget line equals to Px by Py. Now, Px falls, keeping Py constant. Therefore, the ratio, the numerator is falling, denominator is unchanged. Therefore, the ratio falls. The budget line becomes flatter. Hence, the budget line rotates from AB to AC. Now, due to fall in Px, Py and M constant, Py and M constant, the budget line rotates from AB to AC. Therefore, the budget set increases by this amount, ABC. The budget set increases by the amount ABC. Hence, the budget set increases from AOB to OAC, that is, it increases by ABC. Now, due to the rise in the budget set, the real income of the consumer rises. Due to rising M by Px, the real income of the consumer rises. The budget line increases, rotates from AB to AC. The budget set increases by ABC. The real income of the consumer rises. The consumer is taxed in such a way that the consumer is taxed in such a way that the real income is held constant. according to the Hicks effect, according to the Hicks approach, constancy of real income means constancy of real income means constancy of utility, that is when the consumer is taxed, the consumer is able to attain the original indifference curve. I am showing you in this diagram. Here we measure Y, here we measure X. This is the initial budget line AB. Then the budget line rotates from AB to AC. Initially this is the indifference curve. This is IC 1. This point is E1. From here we are getting X1 star, getting Y1 star. Now the budget line moves from AB to AC. This is the another equilibrium point. Consumer moves from IC1 to IC2. Now the consumer is taxed in such a way that the consumer is able to attain its initial utility level. That means this budget line AC shifts parallelly. AC shifts parallelly in such a way that it becomes tangent to the budget line tangent to the indifference curve IC1 at E3. This is our DF. DF is the hypothetical budget line, and the consumer is able to attain IC1 at E3. The movement from E1 to E3 is called the substitution effect. The movement from E1 to E3 is called the substitution effect. When the income is taxed, in such a way that the consumer is able to attain its original utility level, the consumer attains equilibrium at E3. The consumer attains equilibrium at E3. The movement from E1 to E3 is called substitution effect. AC, and movement from E3 to E2 is called income effect. I make it, this is 3, this is 3. And movement from E1 to, E3 to E2 is called income effect. I.e., and the movement from E1 to E2 is called price effect. According to Hicks, the consumer is attained to its original IC. According to Hicks, the consumer is able to attain original IC. Now, what is Slutsky approach? However, according to Slutsky approach, the constancy of real income means the consumer is able to attain its original commodity bundle, equilibrium commodity bundle. That is, the budget line AC shifts parallelly inwards in such a way that he able to attain the initial equilibrium point E1. This approach is called Hicks approach. Now we draw Slutsky approach. Now, according to the Slutsky approach, the constancy of real income means constancy of the initial utility point, initial equilibrium point. According to the Hicks approach, the constancy of real income means constancy of utility. According to the Slutsky approach, constancy of real income means the consumer is attained its original or initial equilibrium bundle, equilibrium point. Now I draw the Slutsky approach. Slutsky approach. XY, initial budget line, this is AB, is the initial budget line. This is IC1, E1 is the E1 is the initial point of equilibrium, initial equilibrium point. This is our x1 star, and due to fall in px, keeping py and m constant, the budget line rotates from AB to AC. This is our another equilibrium point. This is E2, just E1, E2. Till this point, these two graphs are same. Now, according to the Slutsky, constancy of real income means the consumer is able to attain the initial equilibrium points. Therefore, the budget line, the hypothetical budget line DF must pass through the initial equilibrium point E1. DF must pass through the initial equilibrium point E1, and the consumer is able to attain a higher level of IC. This is another IC. This is called IC3. This is equilibrium point E3. This is our X2 star, and this is X3 star. According to Slutsky approach, the constancy of real income, means constancy of initial equilibrium point, that is DF passes through the initial equilibrium point E1, that is DF passes through the initial equilibrium point E1. In this approach, the consumer attains a higher level of utility in substitution effect. In this approach, in the substitution effect, the consumer is able to attain the higher level of utility. The movement from E1 to E3 shows substitution effect. The movement from E3 to E2 shows income effect. The movement from E1 to E2 shows price effect. Now, what is the main distinction between Hicks approach and Slutsky approach? In Hicks approach, in the case of substitution effect, the consumer is able to attain the initial indifference curve, the utility level remains constant, the initial level of utility remains constant. The movement from E1 to E3 is the substitution effect. The utility level, initial utility level remains constant under Hicks approach. Under Slutsky approach, the consumer is able to attain the initial equilibrium point. Look, here the consumer attains the initial IC, indifference curve. Here the consumer attains the initial equilibrium point E1. The constancy of real income in Hicks approach means constancy of the utility level. In the Slutsky approach, constancy of real income means constancy of the initial equilibrium bundle. DF line passes through E1. Here DF line is tangent to IC1. In this case, DF line passes through E1 and DF line is tangent to another IC, that is IC3, which is higher IC compared to IC1. Therefore, the level of utility increases. The level of utility increases. In case of Slutsky approach compared to Hicks approach in case of substitution effect. I hope everybody understood this thing, that in the Hicks approach the consumer is able to attain its initial equilibrium point. In the Slutsky approach the consumer is able to attain its initial equilibrium bundle. Hicks approach, utility remains constant, that means there is no upward revision of the utility level or indifference curve. In the Slutsky approach the consumer is able to attain the higher level of indifference curve in case of substitution effect. This is the difference between Hicks approach and Slutsky approach. I hope everybody understood this thing. That's it for this video. Thank you.